Hey, it's great to see you all. It's great to be back here. I hope you're all having a great day here. I was thinking about, my name is Dr. Dustin Sulak. This is definitely a scene that I appreciate, and I like to feel like family amongst you all. Thank you so much for hosting all the good vibes. I was thinking about what I wanted to say, what I wanted to talk about today, and a friend of mine pointed out that I'm always going on and on about this same topic. It's cannabis, the great adaptogen. So I want to ask, what is an adaptogen? And as I thought about this, I realized that species adapt to changes in biological evolution. I mean, they adapt to changes in their environment via biological evolution when the change is slow. And this is like natural selection and different breeding. And when the change in our environment is slow, we have these very slow mechanisms for adapting. But what the fossil record has shown us now is that over history, there's been these long periods of very slow change, and then these other periods of what they call punctuated equilibrium. And that's periods of very fast change, where we see many species getting lost and new species emerging. And that's what we're going through right now, punctuated equilibrium, with rapid change on Earth. And if a species is going to survive a punctuated equilibrium, it basically has two choices. Either its biological niche can be preserved, and that's just not happening for us. Our environment is changing. The Earth that humans live on is not being preserved. It's changing rapidly. It's actually changing so fast that with biological evolution alone, our species isn't going to survive. So what can we do to survive this Earth change that's happening right now, that we're so privileged to be here to witness? Well, I think that to survive, we have to come up with some creative solutions. And these creative solutions are adaptations. They're adaptations of our behaviors, our thinking, and our physiology. These are adaptations that will increase our fitness in a new environment, a different Earth. And I know of one medicine that facilitates our adaptation to our environment more than just about any other. And when a medicine can do that for us, it's called an adaptogen. That's why I want to talk about cannabis, the great adaptogen. So I'm just going to cover a few of the many amazing things about this plant. There's so much that we could talk about, but we just have one set change here. I'm going to mention a few aspects of homeostasis, antioxidant properties, industrial hemp, and our behavior, how cannabis affects our behavior. So homeostasis is our body's ability to maintain balance internally despite changes in the external environment. And what's so interesting is that animals have been using cannabinoids to maintain balance or homeostasis for 600 million years. Tiny little nematodes, these little worms, single-cell organisms, they have the same CB1, the same cannabinoid receptor that we have in our brain. We share with almost all the other animals on Earth, except for insects, which is why they don't have a sense of humor. The plant cannabis sativa evolved only 30 million years ago. So while we've been using cannabinoids in animals for the last 600 million years, 30 million years ago along came this plant that could help us do the same thing. So looking at our different systems in the body, I just want to talk about the nervous system. Cannabis has anti-anxiety effects. It helps us recover from trauma, both at a cellular level, it protects the nerve cells from damage, and also at a holistic level, it helps us with traumatic memories, including PTSD, and it does this by helping us be in the present moment. So when there's a past trauma and we get stuck thinking about it, cannabis can help us stay present. It can also help protect our nerve cells from trauma. The reason this is very important in our environment right now is because we're living in an imposed economic enslavement that unfortunately a lot of our brothers and sisters don't realize, but this is an environment of scarcity. It doesn't need to be, but it is. And this scarcity causes a lot of stress and anxiety. And because of that, the anti-anxiety properties of cannabis are ideal for us right now. This is also an environment. This is an environment with war, a lot of war, and that feeds into this economic enslavement. And then a result of the economic enslavement is crime, because people feel like they don't have enough and they need to steal from each other and hurt each other. So all of this violence, cannabis is a great solution for that too, because it brings people into the present moment, it decreases their anxiety, helps them relax, and it helps us get along. There's also a lot of neurotoxins in our environment. Mercury is in our vaccines, in our seafood that we're eating, in our water. Aluminum is all over the place in our environment too, including baked goods. We're getting a lot more neurotoxins than we have in a long time. And because of this, cannabis can help our nerve cells. It's another reason why this medicine is so important for us. It can protect our nerves from this damage. Now, I also want to talk about the concept of mortality. The idea that life and death is a circle that goes around and round. Animals know this, and our own cells in our body are supposed to know this. And I think that the greed that we're experiencing today in our economic situation is a direct result of fear of death. Well, when our fear of death, when this concept pervades our society, I think that in some ways our physiology starts to behave that way also. And when cells forget to die, they become cancer. So there's a lot more cancer in our environment right now for that reason, and also because of other forms of radiation, and I'll mention that again briefly. But the cannabinoids that are found in marijuana have specific and powerful anti-cancer properties. They tell the cancer cells, they remind them to die. They remind them about this great cycle of life and death. They also prevent the migration of cancer cells into other parts of the body, and they cut off the blood flow to the cancer tumors. So we've got this other issue that's coming from our environment. Again, cannabis is perfect to help us prevent and treat cancer. There's also a lot of inflammation going on right now for people. This is a big reason why a lot of us are sick, and it's a direct result in many cases of a toxic environment that we're living in, with pollution and other chemicals that we're being exposed to. So cannabis also has very potent anti-inflammatory effects. Of course, everything we need, this one herb has. Now, many of us might think sometimes, well, why do plants make THC and CBD and these other cannabinoids? We know that animals have been using cannabinoids to help us maintain balance and heal for 600 million years, but why plants? What does the herb do with the THC? Well, the cannabinoids actually protect the leaves of the plant from ultraviolet radiation, from free radical oxidation. And because we're living in an environment with a lot of radiation that comes from ultraviolet, electromagnetic, that's blowing over from Fukushima right now, iodine was found in the water here. So we're exposed to all this radiation. Because of that, we need more antioxidants to protect us. Guess what? Cannabis has that too. And now we're just going to scratch the surface of this, but I know most of you realize that outside of all the medicinal aspects of how cannabis can help an individual, this plant can do everything that we need for our resources, our economy, industrial hemp, the fiber, the oil for fuel. Everything that can be made out of oil right now could be made out of oil from hemp. We don't need this crude oil economy. We can totally liberate ourselves with that, growing it, cleaning the air, enriching the soil. And that's just a little bit about industrial hemp. But the last point is my most important one. And this is what marijuana does to our behavior as a species. Because in order to survive this earth change, we need to alter our behavior. And if we listen to the herb, I think it'll show us how. The ideas that I associate most with cannabis's influence on our behavior is sharing, community, art, love, fun. And I just want to talk about community. This is my last point. We live in this feeling like nobody has enough money. And that's the big lie. Because guess what? The government doesn't even have enough money. They finally admitted it a couple weeks ago. Nobody has enough money. We're not supposed to. It's a big trick. Okay, but we do have wealth. And that's not money. Wealth is our resources and our commodities. So remember that we've got the herb, a medicine that can help us in so many different ways, and that's true wealth. That's abundance, and we can make the choice to believe that we live in an environment of abundance. So when somebody can't pay you for something, or when you can't afford something, give it away for free, or ask if they'll share it. Remember the tribe, the one tribe. Expand beyond the fear that they're feeding us. True fear that causes us, the fear that causes us to hide behind our egos and alienate ourselves from each other. Expand beyond that. Identify with the tribe, with the earth, with the one. Choose love now. Remember the tribe. Help your neighbor. Pay off your debt as slow as possible. Invest any savings you have in something that's useful or tradable. Plant lots of food and medicine next spring. Plant as much food and medicine next spring as you can and expect to share it, expect to give it away. Create abundance and share it as much as you can. Open your eyes, look each other in the eyes, hug each other, love each other, be there for each other, and use cannabis as an adaptogen. Thank you all. I love you all. Let's party.